Here's something a lot of dog owners misunderstand. Barking is not always about fear, aggression, or being territorial. Sometimes a bark is a warning, yes, but sometimes it is excitement, frustration, uncertainty, loneliness, or your dog reacting to something unusual before you've even noticed it. Veterinary and behavior sources describe barking as a natural form of canine communication that can happen during anxiety, indecision, separation, novelty, or alerting to possible danger. American Kennel Club. And that is where things get interesting. Because dogs are not just noisy. They are observant. They read tone, posture, tension movement, and emotional energy with incredible precision. Studies have shown that dogs can distinguish human emotional expressions and even use emotional information functionally when making decisions. In other words, your dog is not only hearing the world, they are reading it. PMC. So when people say, "My dog knows a bad person," the truth is a little more grounded and in many ways more amazing. Dogs do not need mystical powers to protect the people they love. Science suggests they can notice when someone behaves in an unsettling, unhelpful, or emotionally off way. Research on canine social evaluation has found that dogs can respond differently to people based on how those people treat or respond to their owners, especially when the dog has a strong attachment bond. PMC. That means your dog's bark may be more than noise. It may be a signal, a check-in, a warning that something in the environment feels different. Not every bark is profound, of course. Sometimes it really is just the mail carrier or a squirrel with terrible timing. But sometimes your dog is doing what bonded dogs have always done, using their senses to notice first, then looking to you. And maybe that is the most beautiful part of it all. Your dog is not just living beside you. They are watching the world with you and sometimes for you. There is a reason some dogs seem to react to certain people before we do. It is tempting to say they can sense bad people. And while that phrase is a little dramatic, the science points to something real. Underneath it, dogs are extraordinarily good at reading stress, inconsistency, and human behavior that feels off. They are not using magic. They are using biology. Studies have shown that dogs can distinguish between a person's normal scent and their stress scent, which means changes in human body chemistry are not invisible to them. PMC. So when someone walks into a room feeling aggressive, frightened, or emotionally charged, your dog may be picking up more than tone of voice or body posture. They may also be detecting changes in sweat breath and stress-related chemical signals. That does not mean dogs can read evil intentions in a supernatural way. But it does mean they can notice when a person's inner state no longer matches the calm surface they are trying to show. And for a dog, that difference matters. Sometimes the bark is not random at all. It is your dog saying something about this person does not feel safe to me. PMC. Dogs are also far better at judging reliability than many people realize. In a well-known Japanese study, dogs followed a person's pointing gesture at first, but after that person repeatedly pointed to an empty container, the dogs became less willing to trust the gesture. In simple terms, they kept score. They noticed when a human's cue stopped being reliable, and they adjusted their behavior. PubMed. That matters, because trust is not just emotional for dogs. It is practical. If a person misleads them, confuses them, or behaves in ways that feel socially off, dogs often respond by pulling back, hesitating, or barking more. And maybe that is the deeper lesson here. Your dog is not just reacting to noise. They are evaluating the world in real time. They are reading chemistry, consistency, and character in the only way they know how. And sometimes long before we understand why, they are already trying to protect the person they love most. Here's something a lot of dog owners don't realize: your dog is watching people long before you decide whether someone feels safe or not. And sometimes what looks like a random reaction is actually your dog reading signals that humans often miss. Researchers in Vienna found that dogs can learn to tell the difference between happy and angry human faces, even when they are shown only half of the face. That means your dog is not just reacting to noise or movement. They are picking up emotional information from the human face itself. Reviews of later research also show that dogs use human emotional expressions to guide their choices, especially when deciding whether to approach or hesitate. PMC. And that matters more than most people think, because dogs don't just listen to words. They read the whole person. A friendly voice can say, "I'm nice," but if the body is stiff, the movements are jerky, the shoulders are tense, or the energy feels off, many dogs will trust the body before they trust the words. Research on canine visual perception suggests that bodily emotional expressions are a major source of information for dogs, and broader reviews of dog-human communication show that dogs are highly sensitive to human posture, attentional cues, and social signals. PMC. That's why some dogs hesitate around certain people, not because they are being dramatic, not because they are bad at socializing, but because they are noticing a mismatch. The face says one thing, the body says another, and dogs are surprisingly good at spotting that kind of inconsistency. PMC. So the next time your dog pauses, stares, backs up, or barks at someone who seems perfectly normal to you, don't rush to dismiss it. Your dog may not know someone is dangerous in a mystical sense, but they may be responding to emotional and physical cues with a level of honesty humans often ignore. And sometimes that honesty is part of how dogs protect the people they love. If this gave you a new way to understand your dog, like the video, subscribe and share it with another dog lover. And I'd love to hear from you. Has your dog ever reacted to someone before you understood why? Here's where dog behavior starts to feel almost unbelievable sometimes. Dogs seem to know something about a person before we do. And one of the most talked about examples is pregnancy. Many owners say their dog became clingier, more watchful, or strangely gentle before they even had a positive test. Science has not fully proven that pet dogs can diagnose pregnancy on their own, but we do know two important things. Dogs are extraordinary scent detectors, and human body chemistry changes dramatically during pregnancy. Dogs can distinguish human baseline scent from stress scent. And pregnancy is also a time of major hormonal and odor changes. So while we should be careful not to oversell it, it is absolutely plausible that dogs notice these shifts long before humans understand what is happening. PMC. And when a dog starts following a pregnant owner more closely, resting near the belly, or becoming unusually protective, that may not be superstition. It may be a dog responding to change in the only way they know how, through closeness, vigilance, and attachment. Dogs do not need to understand pregnancy the way humans do. They only need to recognize that something important has changed in the person they love. That alone can shift their behavior. PMC. Then there is the idea that dogs keep a kind of social scorecard on people. That sounds dramatic, but there is real science behind parts of it. In studies, dogs have shown sensitivity to whether human cues are reliable, and some research suggests dogs with strong bonds to their owners are more likely to prefer people who help their owner. At the same time, other studies have found mixed or weaker results, which means the truth is more nuanced than dogs always know who is good or bad. What they seem especially good at noticing is consistency, helpfulness, and whether a person's behavior feels socially safe. PMC. So, maybe the real story is even more fascinating than the myth. Dogs may not have a human-style moral code, but they are deeply tuned to chemistry, behavior, and trust. And sometimes, that makes them feel like little guardians of the truth, quietly watching, quietly deciding, and quietly staying close when it matters most. Here's something many dog owners notice, but don't always understand. Their dog will bark at one dog and ignore another, or suddenly act uneasy long before a storm or strange event arrives. On the surface, it can look random, but in your dog's world, it often isn't. Dogs are constantly reading tiny details: posture, movement, eye contact, tension, scent, and even changes in the environment that we barely notice. That means what looks like overreacting may actually be fast. Instinctive information processing. AVSAB. Take dog-to-dog interactions. Dogs do not respond to every other dog the same way, because they are not reading just size or breed. They are reading signals, a stiff body, a hard stare forward, weight-tight movement, or an energy that feels socially unsafe. Behavior guidance from AVSAB specifically notes that a hard stare can be an important warning signal in canine aggression. And if a dog has had a bad experience in the past, like being attacked or repeatedly frightened by another dog, that memory can shape future reactions. Reviews of canine socialization and adverse experiences show that poor experiences and lower quality early socialization are linked to fear of other dogs and stronger defensive responses later in life. AVSAB. Then there's the bigger mystery can. Dogs sense disasters. This is where we have to be honest. There is still no conclusive scientific proof that dogs can reliably predict earthquakes. Even AKC notes that the evidence remains inconclusive. But researchers do think dogs may react to environmental cues humans miss, such as foreshocks, unusual sounds, or other physical changes before seismic events. And when it comes to storms, the evidence is much stronger that dogs react to shifts in weather, including changes linked to barometric pressure, sound, and atmospheric conditions. American Kennel Club. So maybe the deeper truth is this: your dog is not being dramatic. They are being sensitive in ways evolution trained them to be. And sometimes, long before we understand what is wrong, they are already noticing that the world does not feel quite the same. There is something almost unbelievable about the way dogs remember us. Not just our face, not just our voice, but our scent. Brain research has shown that when dogs smell their owner, the caudate nucleus, a key reward area in the brain, shows especially strong activation. In plain English, your scent is not just familiar to your dog. It is emotionally important. It means comfort, safety, and connection. And that may help explain why some dogs choose to sleep on your laundry, curl up beside your shoes, or calm down when they find something that smells like you. They are not being strange. They may be reaching for the feeling of you when you are not physically there. PMC. And that same nose, the one that finds your socks, can do things that still feel almost miraculous. Trained dogs have shown they can identify some cancers through breath or urine samples by detecting volatile compounds linked to disease. Reviews of the research show promising results, although accuracy varies by study, training method, and cancer type. In other words, the science is real, but it is not magic, and it is not a replacement for medical testing. PMC dogs have also been reported to alert to low blood sugar, seizures, and even migraines. Some of this happens through formal training, and some may happen because dogs notice changes in scent, body chemistry, or behavior before humans do. Research on seizure alert and medical alert dogs suggests this ability can be meaningful, but it is still variable and not fully understood in every case. PMC. And maybe that is what makes life with a dog feel so extraordinary. They do not just live beside us. They remember us through scent, hold onto our emotional presence, and sometimes notice changes in the body before we ever would. So the next time your dog buries their face in your sweater or sleeps on your laundry, don't laugh too quickly. To them, that scent may be one of the safest places in the world. If this made you see your dog in a new way, like the video, subscribe and share it with someone who loves dogs as deeply as you do. Sometimes we call dogs just pets because the phrase feels easy, familiar, harmless. But if you have truly lived with a dog, really lived with one, you know that word is far too small. Dogs are watchers. They notice the shift in your breathing when stress enters the room. They notice the change in your routine before you even say a word. They notice footsteps outside, tension in a stranger's body. The difference between your happy silence and your heavy silence. Even when they seem to be resting, part of them is still tuned in, still listening, still checking, still staying close. And maybe that is what makes their love so extraordinary. It is not passive. It is active. Quiet, but active. They are not simply sharing your home. In their own way, they are standing guard over your world, watching your body, your mood, your patterns, your safety. Day after day. Night after night. Not because anyone trained them to care that much, but because somewhere along the way, your life became important to them. That is why the bond with a dog feels different. They do not love us from a distance. They love us through attention, through vigilance, through presence, through that almost invisible promise that says, I am here. I'm still here. I'm paying attention. And for those of us who have loved a dog who is no longer here, maybe this truth feels even deeper. Because even after they are gone, the feeling of being watched over somehow remains. Their routines stay in the house. Their memory stays in the body. Their love stays in the quiet. So if your dog is still by your side, hold them a little closer tonight. And if your dog has already crossed that invisible bridge, honor them by speaking their name with love. If this video meant something to you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who understands this kind of bond. And in the comments, I'd love for you to tell me your dog's name and one moment when they knew something before you did.